and it is eventing that is presented by Tipperary. We have 5 finalists to go. We'll introduce you to each horse and rider. About to get started with the first of the riders, and the format for the finale for eventing, it will feature each of the 5 riders who will be demonstrating their basic flat work, and then jumping a course that includes show jumps as well as solid cross-country jumps, and the top 5 will then each be judged, and the final score will be added to the first run that they had earlier to determine the winner in eventing presented by Tipperary. So the first horse and rider are in the arena, and with 2 finalists is Alisa Wallace from Jasper, Georgia. Alisa has great experience with off-the-track thoroughbreds at the highest level of eventing, making it all the way here to the Kentucky Horse Park in the Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event, a fixture after being top rookie in 2015. And the first horse that Alisa rides is Reloaded. Reloaded is a 5-year-old bred right here in Kentucky and finished up a 19-race career at Monmouth Park in New Jersey, had 1 win in Illinois at Hawthorne on the turf with a front-running style and looking to get out to the front in this eventing competition. First to go is Alisa Wallace and bridle number 460, Reloaded. And Alisa, your flat work is starting now in the judging. And on the live stream, it's a pleasure to introduce Stuart Pittman, the former executive director of Retired Racehorse Project. And what's been keeping you busy these days, Stuart?
Oh, I've been getting involved in a few non-horse things. Seem to have found myself running for office. So it's really good to be here in Kentucky, though, back with the horses.
Well, this is where you're at home. This is the project that you've started, and Retired Racehorse Project has grown so much. What pride do you take in how big the event has become?
I take pride in the fact that I didn't have to organize it this year. I walked in here and all this work got done by all these incredible people. Running a competition with 10 disciplines in it all in one weekend is it's a huge task, and the staff and the volunteers have just really pulled it off without a hitch so far.
Alisa about to head into the jumper portion of the course.
I love this horse, God.
Alisa has the GoPro on, and there's a great video when she was competing in the Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event on the cross-country course. A great perspective for people who've never ridden at such a high level, and you're very familiar with Alisa, and her accomplishments speak for themselves, but especially to do it with an off-the-track thoroughbred. The breed itself has really taken off in the last few years, and it's because of ambassadors like this, like Alisa Wallace, and their successes.
You bet. Yeah, I mean, she knows that a thoroughbred horse is the best athlete in the world and the most fun to train.
What got you into the thoroughbred game, and what makes you love these horses so much?
Let me say something about this course and what's going on here first, because this is for these horses who've been off the track for not much more than a year and been in training for most of them less than a year. What we've asked them to do here is huge. You know, they've already done a dressage test. They've gone out on the cross-country course. They did show jumping, and here they are the next day, the top 5 in this finale in an electric atmosphere, jumping show jumps and a couple cross-country. Look at this combination here. It's an eyeful for a young horse with just this very little amount of training. And it just tells you that, you know, the thoroughbred horse is probably the most intelligent breed.
And not only
most
is
willing.
The course an eyeful, but to be in this environment is something unusual for a lot of these horses, with all of the distractions that basically taking a jumper and cross-country course and putting it in this indoor setting.
And the fun thing is to think, you know, especially a horse that Alisa's riding, you may see this horse representing the United States in international competition. Now they're doing their gallop.
That got the crowd going.
And he looks like he could make the time around any cross-country course. Most of these horses could, of course. That's what they're bred for.
So we're off to a strong start with Reloaded and Alisa Wallace. And Reloaded and Alisa sat in third place heading into the finale. 4 of the 5 finalists are at the novice level, and then we'll have 1 rider at the end at the beginner novice level. Alisa will be back with the current horse in pole position, Sharp Johnny, a little bit later. But next we'll turn our attention to Kate Samuels and Turkoman, and that is bridle number 538. Kate comes from Charlottesville, Virginia, and riding Turkoman, a 5-year-old bay gelding who also raced 19 times and put together a couple of wins based in Florida at Gulfstream Park and Tampa Bay Downs. And Kate has competed also at some of the highest levels of eventing at the CIC 3-star level for almost a decade, and has been riding since the age of 3 and training horses off the track since the age of 12.
This horse is in beautiful condition. Sometimes it's tough getting in that first year, getting the weight on them, developing the new set of muscles for their new job, and these horses have been in pretty intensive training as well to get ready for the competition, and this one just looks great.
Do you have my phone? Give Talon a call.
One of the unique things about this competition is you've got top professionals, you've also got amateurs, and you've got juniors competing against one another. And our rationale for that is that they're all the horses are starting at the same place, so it's a level playing field in terms of that. And what we found is that the top professionals don't always win. Sometimes it's the juniors, sometimes it's the amateurs.
Yeah, so having that limiting factor of these horses having been retrained just since last December allows some of the junior riders, amateurs, to compete against some of the top professionals in the world. And it's fascinating to see the representation of so many backgrounds of riders and so many backgrounds of horses. About half of the competitors of this year's Thoroughbred Makeover are professionals, and then you have about a third of them being amateurs and about 15% being junior riders.
Yeah, and we have special awards for the amateurs and juniors in each division, but they're competing against one another. And sometimes the ones who have the time to spend with their horse, as opposed to a professional that has to ride 10 a day, end up developing a relationship and producing something special. And then I think what we've also found is that some people are so good at this that they end up in a career as professional trainers. And people send them horses because they figure if you can make a good riding horse in less than a year off of a racehorse, you've got some talent.
And now we're starting to see, with the Thoroughbred Makeover at the Kentucky Horse Park in its 4th year, some of the early Thoroughbred Makeover horses, they're rising up the ranks and competing.
Little green there.
Yeah, taking the jump, getting a solid leap, certainly clearing it.
This horse is such a beautiful mover and was so great in that flat work section. They're being judged in their flat work as well, partly for the audience to see that these horses are really well broke on the flat. And I liked the way that horse came to the first fence and was super careful, questioned Mama, and Mama said, yes, let's go. And of course, off he went. Whatever you say, I trust you.
So now we'll come down the side of the arena. A big sight in front of the horse, a vertical into a combination.
Got in a little tight there. And again, a little tight. And of course, these are not being judged 4 points for a rail and all of that. They're being judged on performance, you know, how well these trainers have prepared their horses. They're also not being judged on the horse's talent. It's really all about whether you've trained your thoroughbred.
And now coming to the final of the fences, the roll top, and now opening up, seeing the racehorse in them, the gallop.
We took that aspect of it from the young event horse format, where they want to see the horses gallop for their talent, but it's also nice to see that the horse can gallop and come back and be quiet.
And that is Turkoman and Kate Samuels from Charlottesville, Virginia.
Beautiful mover there.
Next into the arena, the next competitor to go is I'm Already There, who is ridden by Rosie Napravnik. Huge reputation, and you can hear the call to the post in the background, something that signals the horse is on the track. And on the track, few jockeys did it as well as Rosie Napravnik, riding at the highest level with 2 Breeders' Cup wins, a Breeders' Cup Juvenile with Shanghai Bobby in 2012, a Breeders' Cup Distaff with Untappable in 2014. But since that time has been a fixture at the Thoroughbred Makeover, competing in eventing, and has made the finals for the first time, so looking to be the first person to be America's Most Wanted Thoroughbred and a Breeders' Cup winner. The horse that Rosie rides was trained by her husband Joe Sharp. I'm Already There is a 5-year-old gelding who was very successful on the track, earning almost $200,000, and was stakes placed in turf races racing in Southern California.
I love watching Rosie ride. I taught a couple clinics that she was in after she retired as a jockey, and she's so humble and so competitive, and she knows where the middle of the horse is, and I think that comes from all those years riding racehorses, and has an amazing feel.
What are some of the things that you think, because we see a lot of eventers who gallop horses on the track, so riding a racehorse on the racetrack setting, what are some of the things that then translate over to the competition aspect?
Well, it used to be more common than it is now that some of the old-time eventers would, Bruce Davison says, you got to go ride some timber races and steeplechase races before you really know how to ride a horse cross country, to be able to understand what a horse can do. And but you know, galloping at the track, especially when you jack your stirrups up or riding races like Rosie has, you develop a balance that is key, I think, to being able to ride tactfully. So if you can always stay over your feet and you can always stay over the middle of the horse, everything else you do is tactful. And you know, some jockeys have better hands than others, and obviously Rosie was one of the best, and that's why the horses liked her.
There's such a wide variety of racing backgrounds for the horses in this year's Thoroughbred Makeover. You have some who were unraced, some who made upwards of 100 starts, and a variety of skill levels. And this is one of the horses that was fairly successful on the track and made $185,000 and was competing in major races in Southern California, and was even placed in a Grade 1 race, the Los Alamitos Futurity, and that was back in 2015 as a 2-year-old, and now a 5-year-old, which is the most common age of the horses that we see here for the Thoroughbred Makeover. But when do horses that are in eventing hit their peak? I mean, for racing, Kentucky Derby is the emphasis, and generally retiring, even when they race later on in their careers, until about 7, 8, maybe 10 if they're pushing it. But for eventing, you just have a 5-year-old here. When do you think this horse will hit his best?
Well, in eventing, they have young event horse competitions for the horses getting into the sport, and they do those as 4 and 5-year-olds. And they don't allow you to compete at the higher levels until the horse is 5 for preliminary, 6 for intermediate, so they don't get to the top levels until they're usually 8 years old or older.
So you're seeing a lot.
So it's a perfect age to start your eventing career. Come off the racetrack at age 4 or 5 like this.
So you're seeing the potential here of I'm already there, and going over the jump with TCA emblazoned on it, who's been a great partner of Retired Racehorse Project, the presenting sponsor for every year that the Thoroughbred Makeover has been at the Kentucky Horse Park.
Yeah, Dan Rosenberg was the president of TCA for a long time, and I went and talked to him at the very beginning of this organization about 8 years ago, and he came to our very first makeover, and he was videoed saying, "Can you imagine what this will be like in 10 years?" And we're getting there. It'll be 10 years and a few more years, and it is growing. Rosie's doing a fantastic job out there. You know, when you think about it, Rosie's actually an amateur at this. She's having a lot of fun with it, and I think she's probably pretty ambitious. But she's got 2 kids, and she's working with her husband, running a big racehorse training operation, and so she really just has time to dabble with this, but God, her talent sure does shine.
Yeah, I mean, it involves horses, but it's really a completely different sport.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure the gallop, she'll know how to get the most of them. So that'll come up right after the final roll top.
Wow, doing a fence. She's got a good eye for a fence, too.
And here comes I'm Already There, and Rosie Napravnik into the stretch.
You can tell, just watch her position as she gallops. The strength of her lower leg and how her upper body is relaxed right over the middle of the horse.
A well-deserved pat on the back from Rosie Napravnik, and I'm Already There.
What a great job she did.
We welcome back into the arena Alisa Wallace and Sharp Johnny, horse who made 61 career starts and has been competing in less than a year off the track at training level. So here they go with their flat work, and it'll be followed by their jump around.
So it's good to see Alisa with 2 horses in the finale. You said 61 starts? That's a lot of races. That's what we call a war horse. And I've found that some of these horses that have raced a lot are easier to train, and they hold up. If a horse can race that much and stay sound, chances are very good it's going to stay sound in anything else it does. So this horse could well have a very long eventing career as well.
Alisa continues to have the GoPro on, which has been such a revolutionary look to have in terms of being able to make people feel like they're actually there and riding these horses over some very impressive obstacles. Now, this horse was bred here in Kentucky and was sold as a yearling for just $3,500, and so to have a 61 race career earning almost $60,000 on the track is
That's not much money for 6-1 races, man.
It's not, but when you start with 3,500, I mean, you get the whole variety of, and we've had some horses who, were yearlings for upwards of near $500,000.
Yeah.
But that you get the range of horses who come up from the bottom, and this is a horse who's headed to big things. And Alisa also is very involved in training Mustangs and incorporated a Mustang into her freestyle routine yesterday. So over the TCA vertical at number 2. And now coming back around to the Oxer at 3, set up very well.
So a lot of these horses are for sale.
She's not selling this one.
She's not selling this one.
Oh, this is but yeah, not only has the makeover featured such great horses, but it's been a great creator of a market for these thoroughbreds.
Yeah. So it could be some of these professional trainers don't even own the horse. So this might be a horse that somebody sent to her to train for them. They may take the reins after this or not. Or maybe this is a horse for her future competitive career. We don't know, but I truly believe that there's no better place in the world to buy a horse than the Thoroughbred Makeover. If you're looking for a horse that's had some training, that's proven that it'll hold up to the sport, it's been selected by the trainer as one of the best prospects. People really shop for the best horses for this competition. So you get great value here.
Solid turn of foot for Sharp Johnny and Alisa Wallace. And if you look closely, you'll see Alisa is wearing the GoPro camera. She's posted some riveting videos riding cross country using GoPro footage. And hopefully she'll be posting this one so that you all can experience what it's like to ride at the Thoroughbred Makeover. A well-deserved fist pump after a long weekend for Alisa Wallace, competing with both of her horses in eventing, making the finals with both, and then to also have both of those horses in freestyle. These were the leaders coming into the finals.
Yeah, we have to lower the fence.
And we have one horse to go. Now, 4 of the riders were competing at the novice height, and then we'll have one of the riders who is competing at beginner novice. A big thank you to the jump crew who has set the heights at beginner novice level for our final rider, and that is Big Ralph and Allison Willoughby. And Allison Willoughby was the dressage champion for last year's Thoroughbred Makeover on Chapter 2, and also was second in eventing. And this horse that she competes with here is just a 4-year-old and had a short-lived career that included 12 starts and 1 win that came in the second to last race of his career, and that was at Turfway Park here in Kentucky. Allison has also ridden at the highest levels of eventing and boasts a 3rd place finish at the American Eventing Championships. And this is one of the horses that is for sale with a green bridle number. And that's part of the ASPCA Makeover Marketplace. A big thank you to ASPCA for a generous grant to support the Makeover Marketplace. Now, steward eventing has always been one of the more popular disciplines for the Thoroughbred Makeover, and what makes the Thoroughbred particularly adaptable to eventing?
Well, because eventing has cross country. And you need an athlete, but you also need a brave horse who loves to work in his game. And when you think about breeding a racehorse, you've got to breed a horse that's brave enough to go to the front of the pack, even when there are people standing on the rail screaming and yelling and throwing their programs and hollering, and will still go out front. So that's bravery, and that's a very useful quality to have in an event horse. But they're also smart, and they I believe that the time it takes for something to go in their eye, through their brain, to their feet, is quicker than a warm blood horse. That makes them safer cross country. They don't fall down as much.
So each of these horses that we see has only been in retraining. The rules for the Thoroughbred Makeover that they have to have been retrained only since December of the previous year. A lot of trainers applied. 794 trainers were accepted. Some of them didn't necessarily have their horse yet, but wanted to be part of the Thoroughbred Makeover. It's a 37% increase in trainers accepted from the year before. And we're seeing a record number of horses who made it. 478 of them as of last week heading into the makeover. Now, we've been watching the course. What do you think is the most challenging part of this course now that we've seen a few of the horses go through it?
Well, that first fence is an oxer, and we saw one horse really look at it. It's first fence is always a challenge, especially when they come in here and do flat work and they think they're not actually jumping. And that two-strided in and out is an eyeful with the gate right behind it, and the sun shining in the gate to draw the horse's eye away. And then at the last minute, oops, there's a jump.
You're Allison saying good boy to the horse. Allison giving Big Ralph a well-deserved good boy, and Allison is a former retired Racehorse Project Thoroughbred Makeover champion last year with dressage on her horse Chapter 2, who was also second in eventing, and back here with Big Ralph, just 4 years old, and with the green bridle number, is a horse that is for sale as part of the ASPCA Makeover Marketplace, and you can pick up a catalog to get more information. But if you like what you see, this could be your next horse, and you can get in touch with Allison about Big Ralph. Great display of skills from each of the 5 finalists. We saw Reloaded and Alisa Wallace, Turkoman and Kate Samuels. I'm already there in Rosie Napravnik Sharp Johnny and Alisa Wallace, and now Big Ralph and Allison Willoughby. And our judges are tallying the scores at the moment. And now welcoming into the arena to present the awards, 2 of the key players for the Thoroughbred Makeover, the founder and former executive director Stuart Pittman, as well as the current executive director Jen Royce. First, we'll announce the 10th through 6th place finishers. Finishing in 10th place, bridle number 456, Red 36, and Ashley Van Camp. In 9th place, bridle number 375, Kitten Silver and Martha Lambert. Eighth place went to bridle number 305, Father Mick and Ashley Lilly. In 7th place, bridle number 6, Army Council and Margaret Fearon. 6th place went to bridle number 226, Caitlin Hartford and Bazillion Bells. And now the top 5 from the finalists that we saw this morning. In 5th place, bridle number 538, Turkoman and Kate Samuels. 4th place went to bridle number 483, Sharp Johnny and Alisa Wallace. In 3rd place, bridle number 83, I'm Already There, and Rosie Napravnik. Second place goes to bridle number 12, Allison Willoughby aboard Big Ralph. And that means that the winner of the 2018 Thoroughbred Makeover eventing presented by Tipperary is bridle number 460, Reloaded, and Alisa Wallace. And riders, if you'd like to show what your horses do best, you're welcome to show off for the crowd.
No. They're putting jumpers. They're moving jumpers.
Well, let's give them a round of applause anyway. We're setting up the next course. It'll be for the jumpers. And getting off to a great start at the 2018 Thoroughbred Makeover in eventing presented by Tipperary. We'll also recognize the Best Turned Out Award that was sponsored by Nina Bonney to receive a halter from Clever with Leather. The Best Turned Out was bridle number 483, Sharp Johnny and Alisa Wallace. The winner receives $5,000 plus a horseware cooler and a Godolphin cooler, a Tipperary vest, and a set of Tribute Equine polos. The winner, Reloaded, will be back later on this afternoon to try to earn your affection in being voted as America's Most Wanted Thoroughbred.